Hare Ramendriya Radha वक्तुं तत्सहजं स्वभावमनिशान् सेवात्ममेकं गुरुम् स्वदेशिकसेवा शरीरचित्तनां भवेदनतस्य शिवस्य चिन्तनां स्वदेशिकसेवा च नाम कीर्तनां भवेदनतस्य शिवस्य कीर्तनां यः पररेणुकणिका कापि संसारवारिते सेतुबन्धाय तेनात्तां देशिकां तामुपास्महे तस्मादनुग्रहं लब्ध्वा महारज्ञानमुत्सृजे तस्मै श्रीदेशिकेन्द्राय नमस्ताभीष्टसिद्धये आरब्धं सर्वसंसार रावणलाविनाशकं ब्रह्मरन्ध्रे सितं भोजा मदीयं चन्द्रमण्डले अकतारीतिरेकाब्जे सहस्रजालमण्डले हंसकश्वाचिकोणे च हरे तन्मध्यगं गुरु सकलभुवनसृष्टि कल्पितशेषपुष्टि निखिलानिगमदृष्टि सम्परं व्यर्थदृष्टि अवगुणपरिमर्ष्टि तत्परमेकदृष्टि तावगुणपरमेष्टि मोक्षमार्गैकदृष्टि सकलभुवनरङ्ग सपनस्तम्भयस्ति सकरुणारसवृष्टि तद्वमालसमष्टि सकलसमयसृष्टि सच्चिदानन्ददृष्टि निवसतु मयि नित्यं श्रीगुरुदिव्यदृष्टि अग्निसुदासमं चाच्चं ज्वालपरीक्षकार्या मन्त्ररसमिमं मन्ये हर्निशं पातमृत्युचा तरे जति तने जति तत्तुरे तत्समीपके तरं तरस्य सर्वस्य खलु सर्वस्य भायता जोऽहम् अजरोऽहं च अनधिनिधनस्वयम् अविकारश्चिदानन्द अनियन्मातो माम् अपूर्वाणां परं नित्यं स्वयं ज्योतिर्निरामयम् नीरजं परमाकाशं ध्रुवमानन्दमव्ययम् श्रुतिप्रत्यक्षमेतेय मानुमानश्चतुष्टयम् यस्य च मतको वेद देशिकं च सरस्मरे मननम्यभवं कार्यं तवदमेमामते सारुचं च मया दृष्ट्वा त्वयि तिष्ठति सम्प्रचाम् मण्डलाकारं व्यक्तं येन चराचरं तत्परं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः सर्वश्रुतिशिरोरत्न विरचितापरं भुजां वेदान्तं भुजसूर्यो यस् तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः यस्य स्मरणमात्रेण ज्ञानमुपाद्यते स्वयं न्यायैव सर्वसम्प्राप्तिः तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः चैतन्यं शाश्वतं शान्तं व्योमतीतं निरञ्जनं नारबिन्दुकलातीतं तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः स्थावरं जगमं चैव अथा चैवाचराचरं यत्तमेन जगत्सर्वं तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः Mukti Mukti Pradyas Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Bhavena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Agurarikam Tattvam Nagurarikam Tapam Tattvam Jnana Param Nasti Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Manata Shri Jagannatha Madguru Shri Jagadguru Mama Sarva Bhutatma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Jnanamulam Guru Murti Pujamulam Guru Param Mantramulam Guru Vakyam Mokshamulam Guru Kripam Guru Radhira Narishta Guru Param Devatam Guru Parataram Nansi Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Sapta Sagara Parayanta Kasnanadikam Salam Guru Rangri Payo Bindu Sasam Shena Durlabam Arurishte Guru Srata Guru Rushena Kashtana Tasmat Sarva Payamena Shri Gurum Sharanam Raje Gurureva Jagat Sarvam Brahma Vishnu Shivamatam Guru Parataram Nasti Tasmat Sampujayet Guru Jnana Vijnana Saitam Labhyate Guru Bhaktitam Guru Parataram Nasti Deyo So Guru Margidi Yasmat Parataram Nasti Neti Neti Tivestati Manasa Vacha Sacheva Nityamaradayet Guru Guru Kripa Prasadena Brahma Vishnu Sarashiva Samartha Prabhavadoksa Kevalam Guru Sevaya Devaki Naragandharva Pitaru Yaksha Charana Munayopi na jananti Guru Shushushane Vidhi Mahankara Garvena Tapavidya Balandita Samsara Kuvaravarte Gatayantrayatadaka Namukta Deva Gandharva Nara Vishaya Sarva Siddhascha Guru Seva Paramukha Jnanam Shunu Mahadevi Srimad Parabrahma Gurum Bhajami Brahmananda Sukadam Kevalam Jnanamurti Dvanvatitam Gadana Sadrisham Padvamasyari Laksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunaraitam Sadgurum Tam Namami Nityam Shuddham Nirabhasam Nirakaram Niranjanam Nityagoram Chidanandam Guru Brahmanam Mamyam Udambuje Karnika Madhya Samste Simhasane Samsitya Divya Murti Dhyaye Gurum Chandra Kala Prakasham Chikustaka Vishtavaram Dharana मन्दस्मितं सान्द्रकृपानिधानम् आनन्दमानन्दकरं प्रसन्नं ज्ञानस्वरूपमिच्छबोधयुक्तं योगीन्द्रं नित्यं भवरोगवैद्यं श्रीमद्गुरुं नित्यमहं नमामि यस्मिन् श्रुतिचिति ध्वंसा निग्रहानुग्रहात्मकं हृद्यं पञ्चवीरं शाश्वतं वासते तं नमम्यहम् रक्तशिराशिशुक्लाब्जे द्विरेकं द्विभुजं गुरुं वरभययुतं शान्तं स्मरेतं नाम पूर्वकम् न गुरोररिकं न गुरोररिकं न गुरोररिकं न गुरोररिकं शिवशासनता 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 चिरमेव शिवं चिरमेव शिवं चिरमेव शिवं चिरमेव शिवं मम शासनतो मम शासनतो मम शासनतो मम शासनता एवं विधं गुरुं यात्वा ज्ञानमुत्पद्यते स्वयं तत्सद्गुरुप्रसादेन उक्तवामिति भावये गुरुदर्शितमार्गेण मनः शुद्धिं तु कारये अनित्यं सर्वं यत्किञ्चिन्धर्मगोचरम् एयं सर्वस्वरूपं च ज्ञानं च मान उच्यते ज्ञानमेव समं कुर्यात् अन्यपन्था द्वितीयका एवं श्रुत्वा महादेवे गुरुनिन्दं करोति सायति नारकं घोरं यावच्चन्द्रादिवाकरो यावकल्पं ततो देहस्तावदेवा गुरुं स्मरेत् गुरुगोप्तो न कर्तव्या स्वच्छन्दो यदिवा भवेत् हुङ्कारेण न वक्तव्यम् अग्निशीर्षे कथञ्चन गुरुरग्रेण वक्तव्यम् असत्यं च कराचना गुरुं त्वां कृत्यं कृत्य गुरुं निर्जित्य वारुचाम् अरण्ये निर्दले देशे सा भवे ब्रह्मराक्षसा मुनिपीपानगिर्वापि सुरवशापितो यदि कालमृत्युभयाद्वापि गुरुरक्षति पार्वती अशक्ताय सुरभ्यश्च आशक्तान् मुनयश्च गुरुशापेन ते शीघ्रं सायं यान्ति न संशयः गुरुरित्यक्षरद्वयं स्मृतिवेदार्थवाक्येन गुरु साक्षात् परं वरम् श्रुतिस्मृति अविज्ञाय केवलं गुरुसेवकं देवे सन्न्यासिना प्रोक्ता इतरे देशधारिणा नित्यं ब्रह्म निराकारं निर्गुणगौरये परं सर्वं ब्रह्मनित्याभासं दीपदीपान्तरं यथा गुरुकृपा प्रसादेन आनिना गुरुमार्गेण स्वात्मज्ञानं प्रवर्तते अब्रह्मस्तपर्यन्तं परमं स्वरूपकं स्थावरं जगमं चैव प्रणमामि जगन्मयम् वन्देऽहं सच्चिदानन्दं वेरतीतं सदा गुरुं नित्यं पूर्णं निराकारं निर्गुणं स्वात्मसंस्थितं madhyastam Sudasvatika sanibam Pratika pratimarupam Drishyate darpane yatam Tatamani chirakaram Anandam sanityutam Arustamantra purusham Dayata simmayam ridim Tatra spurati bhavoya Anutam khatayam yam Agocharam tatagamyam Namarupa vivarjitam Nishakyantra vijaniyam Svabhavam brahma parvati Yataganda sabhavena Karpura kusumarishu Sitoshnari sabhavena Kata brahma cha shashvatam Swayam kata vido bhutva Startavyam yatra kitrati Tikta brahma ravatatra Dhyanam bhavati tadrusham Guru dhyanam tata krutva Swayam brahmam mayo bhave Hinde pade tata rupe Rupto sanatra samshaya Shri Parvati uvacha Pindam kinta mahadeva Param kim samudaratam Rupam Vedatatyai Shankara Shri Mahadeva uvacha Pindam kunda vinishakti Paramam samudaratam Rupam vinduriti gyeyam Rupatitam niranjanam De mukta pare mukta Rupe mukta varane Rupachite tuye mukta Te mukta ratra samshaya Swayam sarva mayo bhutva Param tattvam vilokaye Sarvametan niralayam Tasya valokanam prapya Savasanga vivarjitam Ekakirishva shantas Vishyate ka prasadatam Ladam vajanam ladam va Svabhava bhavanam chatam Nishkamineva bhoktavyam Sada santushtate chasa Sarvagnya paramityavur Dei sarvam mayo buddham Sarananda sarashanto Ramate yatra putrachit Yatrivati sate soti Sadisha punya bhajanam Muktasya lakshanam devi Tavagre katitam maya Upadesha sata devi Guru margena muktiram Guru bhakti sata dhyana Sakalam tava kirtitam Anena ya bhave karyam Talvaram imamate Lokopakarakam devi Lokikam chuna bhavaye Lokika karmano yanti Yanayena bhavarnavam Yani tu bhavaye sarvam Karmanish karmayat kritam Iram tu bhakti bhavena Patate shrunute yanim Likipata paratavyam Vatsarvam safalam bhave Guru Gita makam devi Shugata vammayuritam Bhava vyare vinashartam Swayameva jape sada Guru Gita akshare kamcha Mantra rajami manjape Anye chavivira mantra Phalanaranti shorashi Ana समानां सर्वदारिद्र्यनाशनाम् आलमृत्युभयानां सर्वसङ्कटनाशनां रक्ष रक्ष सुभूतानां चौरव्याघ्रभयापहाम् महाव्यारेयरं सर्वं देवुभिसेरितं वदे आतवामोहनं वश्यं स्वयमेव जपे सदा कष्टस्थाने च दारिद्र्यं नाशने रोगसम्भवं नैर्म्यं दुःखमाप्नोति कष्टे भवति निष्फलम् कृष्णाजिने यानसिद्धिः मोक्षसिद्ध्याग्रचर्मणि कृष्णस्थाने यानसिद्धिः सर्वसिरुष्टकं वदे कुशे वा दुर्वया देवी आसने शुभ्रकं वदे उपविश्य ततो देवी जपेते क्रागमानसा एयं शुक्लं च सन्ध्यर्थं भाष्यरत्कासनं प्रिये अभिचारे कृष्णवर्णं वितरानन्दनागमे उत्तरे शान्तिकामस्तु वर्षे पूर्वामुखो जपे दक्षिणे मरणं प्रोक्तं पश्चिमे च धनागमम् मोहनं सर्वभूतानां बन्धमोक्षाकरं भवेत् देवराजप्रियकरं सर्वलोकवशं भवेत् सर्वेषां स्तम्भनकरं गुणनं च विवर्धनं दुष्कर्मनाशनं चैव सुकर्मसिद्धिं भवेत् आसीदं सन्दये कार्यं नवराभयापहं दुष्स्वप्ननाशनं चैव दुष्स्वप्नफलदायकम् सर्वशान्तिकरं नित्यं तथा वद्यासपुच्छदाम् अवेदाव्यं करं श्रीणां सौभाग्यदायकं सदा आयुरारोगमेश्वर्य पुत्रपुत्रवर्धनम् अकामता श्रीविरावा तपं मोक्षमवाप्नुयात् अवेदाव्यं सकामात् लभते चन्यजन्मनि सर्वदुःखं भयं विघ्नं नाशये चापहारकम् सर्वबाधाप्रशमनं धर्मतः काममोक्षदं यं यं चिन्तयते कामं तं च प्राप्नोति निश्चितम् कामितस्य कामधेनु कल्पनाकल्पपारपा चित्तं मानिश्चिन्ति तस्य सर्वमङ्गलकारकम् मोक्षहेतुर्जपे नित्यं मोक्षश्रेयामवाप्नुयात् भोगकामो जपेद्यो वे तस्य कामफलप्रदम् जपे च तस्य सोरश्च दानपद्यश्च वैष्णवान् शैवश्चासिरिरं देवी सत्यं सत्यं न संशयः आतकाम्य जपे स्थानं कत्तयमेव रानने सागरे वा सरतीरे आतवारियरालये शक्तिदेवालये गोष्ठे सर्वदेवालयेषु मे अचेतदात्रिमूले वा माते वृन्दावने च पवित्रे निर्मले स्थाने नित्यानुष्ठानचौकी वा निर्विघ्नेन मौनेन जपामि तं समाचरे कुशले वायभूमौ च मन्त्रमूलाञ्चिते च सिद्ध्यन्ति गौतरे मूले चित्तवृक्ष Sasaniro Guru Putra Varam Murkas Tasya Siddhyanti Nanyata Diksha Gatta Tapamsi Cha Samsara Malana Shartam Bhava Pashani Vrittaye Guru Gitam Vasishnanam Tadvadya Kurute Sada Saiva Cha Guru Sakshat Sada Sa Brahma Viktamam Tasya Sthanani Sarvani Dukkhena Samshaya Swabhavadyatra Tishtati Tatra Deva Gana Sarve Kshetre Pite Vasanti Asanasta Shayanova Ganshtasishtam Varanapi Ajvarudo Gajaruda Suttava Jagritopiva Sushismasa Saradhyani Guru Gita Japena Tu Tasya Darshana Matrena Punarjamana Vidyate Samudre Traya Chatoyam Shire Kshiram Grate Gratam Kunde Kunde Atakasha Tatama Paramatmani Tate Vajnani Jivama Paramamani Liyate Ekyena Ramate Jnani Yatra Tatra Divanisha Evam Vido Mahamukta Sarvara Vartate Buddha Tasya Sarva Prayatnena Bhava Bhaktim Karotiya Sarva Sandeya Rahito Mukto Bhavati Parvati Mukti Mukti Dvayam Tasya Jivagre Cha Saraswati Anena Pranina Sarve Guru Gita Japena Tu Sarva Siddhim Prabhuvanti Mukti Mukti Na Samshaya Satyam Satyam Puna Satyam Dharma Satyam Mayuritam Guru Gita Samam Nasti Satyam Satyam Varanane Eko Deva Eka Dharma Eka Nishta Param Chapa Guru Kara Taram Nanya Nasi Tadvam Guru Kara Mata Danya Pita Danyo Danyo Vacha Kulanchata Danya Cha Vasura Devi Rubhakti Sadurlava Shariram Indriyam Pranas Charta Swajana Bandhava Mata Pita Kulam Devi Gurevana Samshaya Apkalpa Japa Vrata Tapakriya Tatsarvam Sapalam Devi Guru Santosha Vidya Tapo Valeneva Mandava Yashtayenara Guru Sevam Nakurvanti Satyam Satyam Varanane Brahma Vishnu Maheshascha Devashi Pitra Kinnara Siddhacharana Yakshascha Anepi Muna Yojana Guru Bhava Param Tirtam Anya Tirtam Nirarchakam Sarva Tirtha Shayo Devi Parangulsham Chavartate Japena Jayamabnoti Chanata Phalamagniyan Hina Karma Jagan Sarvan Tanani Charam कृष्णवरेणं च पार्वती मनसाप्येन वक्तव्यं सत्यं सत्यं वदाम्यहम् अतीवपक्वचित्ताय श्रद्धभक्तियुताय च प्रवक्तव्यमिदं देवी मम मासे सदा प्रिये अभक्ते वाञ्छके दुर्ते पाकने नास्तिके नरे मनसाप्येन वक्तव्या गुरुगीता कराचना संसारसागर समुद्रनेकमन्त्रं ब्रह्मादिदेवं पूजितस्य मन्त्रं दारिद्र्यदुःखभवरोगविनाशमन्त्रं वन्दे महाभयं गुरुराजमन्त्रम् इति श्रीस्कन्दपुराणे उत्तरखण्डेश्वर पार्वती संवादे गुरुगीता गुरुदेवार्पणमस्तु नित्यानन्दाय गुरवे शिष्यसंसारहारिणे भक्तकायैकदेहाय नमस्ते चित्सदात्मने निर्वासनं निराकाङ्क्षं सावरोषाविवर्जितं नित्यानन्दं नमाम्यहम् निर्ममं निरहङ्कारं समादोषाश्मकञ्चनं समादुःखसुखमधीरम् आवरुतं नमाम्यहम् अविनाशी नममानम् एकविज्ञाय तत्त्वताम् वित्तरागभयक्रोधं नित्यानन्दं नमाम्यहम् नाहं देहो न मे देहो जीवो नाहमहमिति एवं विज्ञाय सन्तुष्टम् आवरुतं नमाम्यहम् समस्तकल्पनामन्त्रम् आत्ममुक्ता सनातनम् इति विज्ञाय सन्तृप्तं नित्यानन्दं नमाम्यहम् ज्ञाननिरात्मकर्माणां कामसङ्कल्पवर्जितम् एयोपारे अनिरान्दम् आवरुतं नमाम्यहम् अयो योगी सुखं भोगं न वंशति यदृशावसन्तुष्टं नित्यानन्दं नमाम्यहम् एवं निन्दाप्रशंसाभ्यां यस्य विक्रियते मनः आत्मक्रीडामात्मानम् आवरुतं नमाम्यहम् नित्यं जाग्रदवस्थायां स्वप्नवद्योऽवतिष्ठते निश्चिन्तं चिन्मयमानं नित्यानन्दं नमाम्यहम् द्वेषं नास्ति प्रियं नास्ति नास्ति अस्याशुभाशुभम् वेदज्ञानवेदान्तम् आवरुतं नमाम्यहम् जरं पश्यति नो यस्तु जगत्पश्यन्ति चिन्मयम् नित्ययुक्तं गुणातीतं नित्यानन्दं नमाम्यहम् यो हि दर्शनमद्रेण भवते भुवनत्रयं पावनं जगमं तीर्थम् आवरुतं नमाम्यहम् सर्वपूज्यं सदा पूर्णम् अखण्डानन्दविग्रहम् स्वप्रकाशं चिदानन्दं नित्यानन्दं नमाम्यहम् निष्कलङ्कं Shasaline Ramso Varaito Ramana Santu Nirbhaya Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Dukha Bhave Tarat Durnani Sarva Bhadrani Pashyatu Sarva Kamara Vanotu Sarva Savatra Nandatu Swasti Matra Utha Pitre Nastu Swasti Gopyo Jagate Purushebhya Vishwam Subhutam Siddhidatram Nastu Yoge Vadrushe Masuryam Om Shanti 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 Arati Karum Sada Guru Ki Karum Sada Guru Ki Pyare Guru Varati Arati Karum Guru Varati Arati Karum Sada Guru Ki Karum Sada Guru Ki Pyare Guru Varati Arati Karum Guru Varati Jaya Gurudeva Manavira नित्यानंद सद्गुरु दाता सतपात के दिव्य प्रदाता मुक्तानंद सद्गुरु दाता सतपात के दिव्य प्रदाता भारती वासुदेव Sadhguru Maharaj Ki Jai. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Sunday morning satsang here at Shanti Mandir, Walden, on this glorious sunny Sunday, and the first time since March 2020 that we're all mask-free. And it feels great. It feels sublime. It feels like a celebration. Very, very nice, and a very, very familiar feeling to hear everyone's voices, to see everybody's faces. Pure darshan. So thank you all. And also today is Father's Day as well. So we wish all of the fathers, everyone near and far, all of our own fathers, a very happy Father's Day. And I truly feel blessed in my life to have a very dear father who is still in the body and who is a very, very gentle and kind soul and moves me several times for just his great nature and his love for nature. He's truly a man of the woods, a man of the mountains, and is very, very serene, unlike myself. So he's serene on the outside and the inside. I'm just on the inside. So anyway, with that being said, I also would like to, on behalf of all of us here at Shanti Mandir Walden, we're very fortunate to have a beautiful Buddhist monk, a presence here at the ashram for 2 weeks. And having him among us has just been a great, peaceful blessing to the land and to all of us who have gotten the opportunity to know him. So I would like to request Dana Wilkinson to go over to him and offer him a garland. There's one on the front here, Dana. He's on a chair right over there. And the garland is right here. And his official name is Gen Kelsung Sankten. With great respect and love, we welcome you. Now, for today's satsang, we're going to continue with a wonderful video series that we've been showing. So when Gurudev was here on his last visit, we had 6 different interviewers interview him. Neither of the interviewers knew the other questions that someone else might ask. So each one is unique and sublime of its own. They all ask questions to Gurudev, and Gurudev gives the answers. So as I said before, we're very fortunate because if you've missed any of the previous interviews that we started with back in December, we've been showing them once a month. So December was the first month, and we had Marty Katz in 2 parts, so December and January. And then we had Larry Holmes for 2 parts, and then we also had Dana Wilkinson for 2 parts. So we've been enjoying these interviews once a month with Gurudev, and a great learning and always appropriate for the time. So today's interviewer, for those of you who don't know him, his name is Larry Walensky. And he has been devoted to Shanti Mandir for the last 25 years. He is one of our Shanti Mandir law attorneys, and he does a lot of work for the ashram, a lot of that which we do not see. He's been instrumental in the attainment of this property here 21 years ago, and has been caretaking for it ever since. Most recently, he was the one who led by great leadership all of us through the pandemic and did it seamlessly. So we're very, very happy to see his interview with Gurudev. None of us have had a glimpse of it yet. And so we'll enjoy that. So please know that the video is 53 minutes. So everyone can take this opportunity to readjust yourselves, become comfortable. The screen is over here, 53 minutes. And then when we conclude, we'll conclude with Danya Danya and Jota Se Jota. Sadhgurunad Maharaj Ki Jai.
The big elephant in the room, and in this case in the pavilion, is division. We're in the United States, we're in a time of great division. And also, I think it's true for all the world. We can feel it more nowadays than we have in the past, and it's caused a lot of strain. And so the question is, given this division, which impacts our own families, our friends, what should we or can we do to help see God in each other?
Well, first of all, the fact that it's even happening in the US in this 21st century, in the year 2020, 2021, I think it's sad. Sad because we consider ourselves evolved, especially because of the internet. And we would think that we would be able to dissolve it faster than sustain it. But yet it seems that for whatever reason, whether it's politically or economically, it's being sustained. So in the few months that I've been here, and of course before as well, thinking about it, I feel prayer is the most important thing. As much as one might think, nah, what will prayer do? But I feel positive vibrations into the earth, because these people are dividing and fighting, and they are, making the earth like divisive. And so to balance that, we need some people around the world, not just in the United States, but around the world, praying, meditating. Of my own, at one point I realized that, like for example, in our tradition, Avadut Bhagwan Nityananda, Baba Muktananda's guru, sat in one place in Ganeshpuri for 30 to 35 years, the latter part of his life. Many people wondered, why doesn't he travel? And when they asked this to Baba Muktananda, that he could do a lot more if he went around, Baba Muktananda said, what makes you think he is not doing anything sitting in one place? So it's amazing, because you read his books and you hear people that he talks about the round table conference, he talks about different things. And in those days, it was just radio. And so by the end of the day, when the radio came on and they talked about what the discussions had been, they would be amazed that, oh, Bhagwan had talked about this earlier in the day in his own cryptic way. So I think we need such simple sages. And I think education is probably the best way to create them. Not the kind of education we have today, where we are just creating, it's a mold and we're just getting one more of the same. I believe that we are all individuals, and each individual has his or her own beauty. We call it a unique quality that each one of us has, and a peculiar quality that each one of us has. And I think our modern society is quelling, squashing these things and not allowing them to sort of be fostered. And so I think some of what I feel I see as division is part of this, that I can't express myself. I can't be myself. I just have to be a cookie cutter, like everybody else. But I can't be like everybody else. I have more hair than somebody else. Somebody has less hair than somebody else. Somebody's gray, somebody's black, somebody's brown, somebody's red, somebody's can be dyed to pink and blue, and so on and so forth. And so I think when you look at nature, the same mango tree, we have 300 of them in the ashram in Magod. No two of them are similar, even if they're the same kind of Alfonso mangoes. They, whether the branches go a little bit this way, whether the trunk goes a little bit this way, forward, whatever, you look at it and go, wow. So some people sometimes tell me a branch is in the way, cut it. So I ask them, who is in whose way? Is a branch in my way or am I in the branch's way? It's simply growing. But because I am a human being and I have a chainsaw, I think I can cut it, which is what we have done, I think, to ourselves as humans. We have cut ourselves, or we have been cut, whether it's by family, whether it's by friends, whether it's by teachers, however. And so I'm not saying just be anything, anywhere, however. No, I'm not saying that. I think there are parameters and boundaries of behavior, and they need to be followed because that's how society works. And I think if I want to be wild and wacko, I go into the forest. When I go into nature, where only the animals are looking at me and going, what is he or she doing? I think that's okay. So my belief, the Upanishads tell us, the blind lead the blind. So we probably have too many blind people today, whereas we are supposed to have much more learned, wiser people. But it seems like that's not true. So we need sages who will study philosophy, make it a part of their life, people who can go to such people, learn from them, have conversations. And the most important example I gave everybody is on the Fifth Avenue of Manhattan, there is a church. So what does that say to us? Whenever that was built, that somebody thought in the midst of shopping, in the midst of the material world, in the midst of everything, there needs to be a place that will remind you of something greater. And I believe that our society has forgotten this. So when I think of the old ashrams, monasteries, and places where educational institutions were run, so when a young child went to such a place, not only he got whatever the subjects were that needed for his life, but he also learned to pray. He also learned to meditate. He or she got something bit more tools, we could say, for life. So when situations like the current one in the world that we are experiencing, he or she would know, where do I connect to? What do I connect to that greater being within myself? And I think that is what is missing. So you have a few people saying, yeah, and the rest are going, oh, they must be right because they are the loudest. Not always true, but that's what people are following. So I would say all of us who believe that there is division, which I think many people agree, and there's all of the issues that are there, we need to just come together and have quiet times, prayer times, meditation times, some chanting, some singing, whether it's Sanskrit chanting or Gregorian chanting or Jewish chanting or whatever the tradition is that we come from. Just some positive to the world. Just like we want to take care of pollution by emitting less. So in the same way, I think to reduce the negativity or the negative vibration, we need positive vibration as well. And I often feel and think, and I tell people, that we who call ourselves peace lovers get tired more easily, give up more easily. Whereas those who cause terror, you see them, they don't give up. And the example I give is what happened to the World Trade Center. I think in 1993 they tried once, they failed, but for the next many years they kept at it, and then we saw what happened in the year 2001. So if we consider ourselves people who want to be peaceful, let's put forth effort and let's make it that peace prevails.
Thanks. Very good. But I have a follow-up,
Okay.
a small follow-up. Maybe perhaps it's a bit technical, but you mentioned prayer.
Yes.
That we need to pray. Do you have anything specific in mind, or is it adequate if we just pray with the proper intent, no matter what the prayer is?
I think intention is excellent. That is important. But it would be wonderful to find a prayer, which some people through social media have done now, sent out, okay, we all over the world are going to do this prayer. So I think it would be nice if a group of people who know each other, who are following a particular tradition or a particular way or a particular path, decide that, at this time, we don't have to get together, like whether it's on through the internet or in whatever way, But at this time, in our own homes, we're gonna sit and pray, and so that's intent, and also the same sound vibrations, because when we sing, it has a sound vibration. For example, we have what we call the universal prayer in Sanskrit. So the sages thought about this, and so I tell people that if back when the Vedas were written, the sages thought about this, that means this issue existed then. It's not that it's a new issue for ourselves today, but they tried always to tell the human, pray, pray. So I think intent is good, and if you can do similar, excellent.
So I'm going to move on to the next question. I think related.
Mm-hmm.
Today and throughout our history, we've had a lot of injustice in our world. What does our path direct us to do in the face of that injustice? In asking the question, I think of all the things that Gandhi, Mandela, Dr. Martin Luther King, and others has done. Is our path aligned with combating justice? And if it is, what manner does that take shape?
For one, I remember Baba Muktananda saying, if somebody slaps you on one cheek, don't give him the other cheek and say, slap here. Be strong, stand up for yourself. Don't allow, yourself to be rolled over by anybody. So have a voice, speak out loud, and he definitely did that in his own life. And from a scriptural viewpoint, I would say that the sage would tell us to believe in oneself. That really, whether we talk about Gandhi or Mandela or Dr. King and all of these various people who have had an influence upon each other or who learned from each other, they believed in self-control for one, they believed in self-discipline, and they believed in their own inner strength. So we have to ask ourselves the question, what really is it that causes injustice? And so I read a story some time back that somebody steals from a man in a small town. And he goes to the judge to tell him that so-and-so stole from me. So the judge says to him, I punish you who have been stolen from. And the man is surprised. He said, well, why? He said, because you are hoarding and not sharing. And I thought it was a wonderful, whether it's a Chinese or Japanese or from what tradition, I don't know. But the story left an impression, because I believe that what is happening today in the so-called capitalistic society is that some people are getting rich. Others may be getting a little bit of it, but there's a majority of society that feels left out. That, as you know, when the lockdown took place, people didn't have food to eat, or people didn't have the basic necessities of life and didn't quite know. Even today, we're almost a few months into it. People are trying to get jobs. There's been looting. There's been all of this stuff. And when we ask ourselves the question, why is this? Is because there's injustice at that daily need level. Because one is greedy, one hoards and hogs and wants everything for oneself. And when I talk about this country, United States, I tell people back 100 years ago, some of the industrialists at that time, when they had the money, they thought, okay, what does the country need? And they went ahead and created institutions of learning. And they shared their wealth with the nation. They might have still been rich, I don't deny that. And they might have still built themselves beautiful homes and all of that. But at the same time, they provided to society. So today, the entire world looks to the United States to come to educate as being a good place where education is a wonderful opportunity. And again, I always tell people that it's a country which is full of opportunity. I know people who come here who don't even speak the language, but who can work, get a small business, and do well in life. I don't think anywhere upon earth such a possibility exists. So the United States has that possibility. So I think what people who have need to begin to think about and ponder over is how we can dissolve this divide. I have millions and billions or trillions or zillions, however you want to say it, and that there is somebody who doesn't have anything. For example, in India, I tell people, when you see a street vendor at the end of the day going home with his cart with a few cucumbers or a few tomatoes or a few pieces of fruit or flowers, buy it from him. Because he doesn't have a refrigerator, he doesn't have a way or a method to keep it fresh for tomorrow. You're going to use it today or tomorrow. So, as long as he's not ripping you off and you're getting a good price and he also knows that he needs to sell it at the end of the day, I think that that's society helping itself. But if I want to keep my $100 in my pocket or my $1,000 in my pocket and I'm not going to share it, that's going to create anger. That's going to create hatred. And I think what we are seeing in society today is exactly this. And I think nobody's talking about it, I feel. I mean, people are maybe discussing it here and there, but nobody's talking about how we can, dissolve this. And I think in what I saw with Baba Muktananda, he tried to help and uplift the areas around the ashram in India. He built them homes, he gave them vessels, he gave them food, he employed them, he made them work. And people from Mumbai who would come, who would want somebody, he would send them, tell them, go take these people, employ them. And I try to do the same thing. Whenever I see somebody begging, I say, don't beg. You want education? Let's find a way to educate you. You want work? Let's find a way to create work. But what I feel sometimes happens, which I heard this some years ago here, when somebody who's not working and makes $400 to $500 a week, and then they go to work and they make the same amount of money, $400 to $500 a week, they think, why should I work and make that money when I don't work or, and I get the same amount of money through the government? I think this is the system that we need to look at, of how we can get everybody to work and everybody gets paid evenly. And I think really that upper part of society needs to resolve this. So this injustice can be resolved in that way, that less greedy. I think that's what's important. Simpler life, sharing, caring, and our scriptures in the universal prayer tell us, Swasti prajabhyam paripalayanta nyayena margena mahi mahishaha go brahmanebhya shubhamastu nityam loka samasta sukhino bhavanta. Let's pray for the leader, king in this case, in the prayer, but today we could say a political leader, who will look after the welfare of everybody, whose mind will always be thinking of somebody in my, kingdom or country is suffering, and I need to take care of them. Not fan the fire of separation or of injustice, but calm them, quiet them. And that's what the Upanishads and our scriptures tell us. So may we have such a king, a leader, who is like that. And here they use go, which is cow, and brahmana, which is a wise person. So I think of it as the learned people whom we should not squash, whom we should listen to. Because sometimes they might say something that I might not like. Get out of the way, or do this, or don't do this. Treat them with respect. Have conversations or dialogues with them. And when I think of cow, I think of a meek person, meek individual, person who can really do anything for himself, So do something for them also. Help them stand up. And when this happens, it says, Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Then everybody, everywhere will be content. Everywhere will be at peace. So politically and economically, all our leaders or people who are in these fields need to get together with some good, wise people. They could be from the same field, but people whom, they think, oh, I don't want to talk to him, he's too, filled with information. But maybe some of that information might be good to gain some understanding of the situation. I remember reading Akbar and Birbal stories, and that sometimes at night they would get dressed up incognito and go and move amongst their people. so they could hear what were the people discussing, what were they saying about the king, what were they saying about the rules and the politics of that, and then they would go back and they would discuss, oh, we need to change this. This is not benefiting society. This is not helping our people. And so I'm sure today they don't need to go incognito, but I think between the news and between social media, people writing and saying, everybody's quite vocal. And I think if I want to hear, I can hear when there is something being said. And then I need to take time to sit and listen and ponder and talk to my confidant or my friend or those who like me, love me, and say, hey, how can I correct this situation? It may not be perfect right now, but yes, we can correct it. And I believe that amongst us, there are some excellent people, human beings, animals too, who can guide us and we can learn from them. And I think this is, to me, what I feel the scriptures teach us. Open eyes, open ears, open eyes, in an openness within myself to grasp and imbibe and deal with injustice in that way. I said a lot.
Well, that was great. I was just thinking, what is the best way to cultivate the ability to listen to these wise people? How do you know who they are, particularly nowadays, because everybody's saying everything,
right?
And everybody's saying it's so affirmative that my rightness,
Yes.
and so there needs to be a way to evolve your discrimination. To know that.
Well, the way I look at it is when I hear the same thing from different people who are not related from around the world, and then I read it from some book of some great person who lived 50, 100, 200 years ago, and then I think, oh wow, a similar thing is being said by this person, and I begin to believe that there is some truth in that, and that, okay, there's wrong things being echoed also as well, I wouldn't deny that, but somewhere within each one of us, I feel the conscience is the barometer. And I feel that when I do the right thing, my entire being feels overjoyed. And when I do the wrong thing, I feel guilty. I feel wrong. I know I'm wrong. I try to say, no, I'm correct. I try to do all that, but no, I'm not. Because I wake up the next day, and I feel, something is not correct. And so I believe that I must be my own barometer. And then when I'm with others, I must feel that barometer at the same time also.
So we'll move on to question number 3, which again is, all of this is related. So I want to talk about fear.
Okay.
Or ask a question about that. We spoke about it in Satsang this year, and what I've taken from that we should not let fear control us in a way that kind of debilitates our ability to function. But my question is, there's another type of fear that is not debilitating, that's necessary. And I don't know that we've talked about that a whole lot. So could you elaborate on this whole concept of fear, when it's appropriate, when is not necessarily appropriate, etc.?
I think fear is of two types. One, if I put my hand in the fire, I know it will burn. No matter how great I might think of myself as, that is what's going to happen. If I touch a hot iron, it's going to do the same thing. If I touch, a wire that's running electricity, it's going to do something, to my body. So that kind of fear, which is wisdom really, or common sense, we could call it, discrimination, understanding, yes. That I think every human is sort of born with that awareness. A child also knows. The other day, I was driving and I saw a deer stop to let the car pass. Now I've seen deer hit, and then I see a deer stop. I'm like, oh wow, somebody stole the deer. I'm like, okay, a human has not told it, but something instinctively has told the deer, stop, wait, the car is going to hit you, hurt you. So pause. And I was amazed that it's waited till the car went, and then it looked, and then it went. So who is teaching the animal this? So instinctively, the animal has learned this from its dead family members, that crossing the road when the car is driving is not necessarily a good thing. So I believe that all of us have this basic instinct, basic to know, not the right thing, not the good thing to do. But yet at the same time, I believe fear should not make us lazy. Like I tell people, walking could cause me to fall. Whether it's a little stone, or whether I put my foot wrong, or whether the level changed, or whatever it is, it could cause me to fall. So it does not mean that I will just sit here and say, I'm not going to walk because when I walk, I fall down. It's not going to work. I need to walk because if I walk, I can get to places, I can do what needs to be done, plus good for the human body to walk. But what happens, I think, is that the mind goes to a negative place. And in that negative place, it gets stuck. I'm sure all of us have seen on television people who gained weight and became 400 and 500 and 700 pounds, and then they were just stuck in the bed or couldn't get out of bed. And I ask myself, would that happen? Would that happen to me? Would I allow myself to get to that place? And I think, no, I can't. That would be really, dumb or stupid or idiotic of me to do such a thing. But then I think, well, maybe sometimes when I don't have loving and kind people to remind me and tell me, hey, wait a minute, what are you doing to yourself? The wake-up call to say, wait a minute, stop. You're going to not be able to sit in a chair. You're not going to be able to move, and so on and so forth. Then again, fear in that moment also grips you, because then you think, where do I begin? Well, I feel let's begin now. Walk 10 steps, walk 20 steps, walk 30 steps. And before we know it, it's going to be a mile, 2 miles, So I feel that all of us as society need to encourage each other, and not instill fear. I see sometimes that society does funny things which somehow instills fear within the human being, and the human being doesn't even realize it. I think recently I shared a story that a frog and a snake have a meeting. I don't know if a frog and a snake can have a meeting, but they do have a meeting. And the frog tells the snake, they just die from your fear. They don't die because of you or because of your poison. Science may not agree with this, but in the story it's like that. So, in the story, it's said that a person is walking, a snake bites him, and a frog jumps out. The man thinks, it's just a frog. And he just keeps walking because there's no fear associated. He doesn't fall into the trap. A frog touches or bites or whatever he does, and a snake goes by, and the man just goes, oh my God, I've been bit by a snake. And in a few steps, he dies or falls down dead. Now, the storyteller tells us, now just think about this, I'm sure there's poison and all of that. And here is that it's my mind. My mind has caused me to think that, because this has happened, I'm going to die. I'm not going to be successful. And I think when we hear motivational speakers today, this is all that they are trying to do is, push you, pump you to like, yeah. But externally, no, you need that from the inside.
What about science? What is the role of science in spirituality? We take, for example, again, related to fear and whatnot, a lot of us are wearing masks because we're listening to the scientists tell us that if we don't wear a mask, we're unreasonably exposing ourselves to a virus.
Mm.
What is the role of this science for us? Should we be listening to it? There's some who don't believe in it. There's others who believe in it very strongly. So my question is how should we treat science?
Well, I believe the Indian tradition believes in science. Not just the science you're talking about, the modern science, but science in general. For example, if we go to astrology, which is based on astronomy, we go to Vastu or Feng Shui, that's also a science in its own way. So Ayurveda is medicine, which is again science. Hatha Yoga also, I believe, is science. And then we have modern science, which is what most everybody studies today. I believe that all of these sciences need the doctor or the person doing it to meditate, because it's ultimately an illumination. You know, there's books, there's theories, there is talk, but ultimately each one of us needs to connect to a much deeper place. I give an example that as a child, one day somebody told me I had an issue. So we went to the doctor, my father and I, and the doctor said, "What?" So I just looked at him and said, "So-and-so said so-and-so." So he said, "Walk and move and do all these things." And he goes, "You're fine, go outside." And then he told my father to sit, and I don't know what they talked about or what they chatted. And I remember this often. He didn't touch me, he just watched me, he just looked at me, he just looked at all the movements. And from that decided, he was a family doctor, he'd known me since I was a little boy. So he decided that everything was fine. Whereas today, because of money or whatever, we are told to go get an MRI, to go get this kind of test, to go get that kind of test, and the doctor is going to read all of those tests. And then how true are those tests? We don't know. I'm sure that there are good, genuine doctors, good, genuine pathologists, and so on and so forth. And then the business people behind all of this. There was a joke that went around in India that if you come to me for a virus test, and if I say negative to everybody, I'm not going to have more customers tomorrow. I need some. So I make 6 positive, 4 negative. So then the positive ones tell their friends come, and from them I make some positive, some. I mean, we laugh at this, but I think there is some truth to this. So in the question you asked him, I believe if we are of the belief that there is a virus that's floating around, and we have seen when we speak that we do spit. It just is a natural phenomenon of the human body. So if we're going to be close to somebody or in close spaces, then we want to protect ourselves. Who doesn't want to protect ourselves? A doctor told me the other day, he said, all viruses have a lifespan. He said, within 2 years, the virus will be dead. He mentioned 1918, 1920 situation, he said, and it's gone. So that's the lifespan. So we are about a year into it, and then we have a year more to go through it. So if I think, okay, for a year or 2 of my life, I have to do this thing, then I can live for another 30, 40, 50 years safe or more, then I think it's okay. And I think, again, we go back to the same thing, consensus. How many are saying the same thing? If more are saying the same thing, then there has to be some truth to it. But if only a small portion of the public is saying, nah, then I think majority always wins in life, in society. So that's what I would say. I say, don't be afraid. be strong, be smart, be wise, don't procrastinate, don't just be dumb. You have intellect, you have the brains, God has given it to you just as much as He has given to everyone else. You use your own intelligence. And I think if we use our own intelligence, I believe that we'll always do the right thing. And I think sometimes we don't listen to that, and therefore we are lost. Therefore we are just going around in a circle and not getting anywhere. So I have a mantra that came to me a long time back: think twice, don't hesitate. So whatever it is, ponder over it, ruminate over it, contemplate it. But once you know this is where I'm going, full-hearted, put forth effort, and I believe you'll achieve success.
I like the idea of using consensus as the standard for being able to discriminate and make for good decision making.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're going to switch gears a bit away from all the heavy subjects to a couple of different ones. I know we mentioned a few times in Satsang this year that everyone on the path, or many on the path who've met Baba, etc., who are now aging, beginning to pass on, and there is a transition going, and hopefully that there is a passing on of the traditions and a succession, etc. So, but my question is, what if someone new is coming in to the path now? What would you recommend is the best way for them to immerse themselves? And if you can, try and be specific about what they should do, or what materials they should read, or anything like that.
But first, I'd invite them to meet some people who've already been treading the path, who've been walking, just to have conversations, to share with what could be the obstacles, what could be the issues, what could be the illuminations. I always recommend Baba Muktananda's book, Where Are You Going? It's quite simple. And I believe in there, the way he's written out the chapters, it's a wonderful way to look at all that which we need. Because he begins with the self. What is the self? The Upanishad thought is about the Atman, about the self. So what is self? Self is consciousness. So just beginning a path, I need to begin to look at and see, where is consciousness? What is consciousness? So if an individual in his or her quest can begin to just simply have a bigger viewpoint, a bigger way to look at life. Right now it's just me, my family, my friends, my work, my children, my this, my that. But then to realize that that's not the end to life. Life is much bigger. So how are we connected? We are connected through that self, through that consciousness. Then the question is, why don't I see the self? How is it that if it's everywhere, in everything, why don't I see it? So then the next chapter he talks about is the mind. So most people who sit to meditate go, oh, I have thoughts. I am thinking. I don't know how to sit. You see, when people first come, they're like moving, they're like, all whatever it is that's going on, because the mind is affecting. And so you just tell them, sit still. And they're like, sit still? I could not do that for more than a minute. So you learn about the mind. And I think most of the training is for the mind. Good thoughts, uplifting thoughts, friendly thoughts, loving thoughts, kind thoughts, and then when I have negative emotions or thoughts, what do I do with them? And so it automatically then leads to the next chapter, which is the inner power. Again, which is the self, which is the Atman, which is consciousness. And each one of us has that power. So caught in a situation, if I jump a few more feet than I would normally jump, but because all of a sudden I am afraid of whatever it is that's happening, all of a sudden I'm going to draw from that power within. And then if I look back and go, oh my God, how did I do that? That means that that strength or power was always within me. So to connect to that. And then practices that he gives, which is mantra and meditation. And so how do I quiet the mind? I need mantra. So of course we do Om Namah Shivaya for just all throughout the day. And some people sometimes tell me, I like that even for meditation. Om Namah Shivaya on in-breath, Om Namah Shivaya on the out-breath, and just slow down my breath, slow down the mantra, or some people like Soham, some people like Hamsa, for meditation especially. And you actually want to come to a place in meditation where you have quiet and just total stillness for a few moments, and just be able to hold on to that. So these are the things, the self, the mind, the inner power, the mantra, meditation, that any person who begins, I think, should do these things. Become conscious of all of this in his or her life. And then I tell people also a change in the way they lived till now. Heightened awareness, a shift that also needs to occur. And eventually to try and connect to a being whom you have love for, whom you have respect for, from whom you receive the teachings. In our tradition, we call them the Guru, the Master, and thus connect to the entire community. Today we can connect all around the globe to anyone, anywhere, and have that relationship, have that friendship, share the teachings, discuss the teachings, have Zoom classes, for example, just to, keep the mind at that awareness. And Baba's main thrust was the religion of the self. He said, we are not Hindu, we are not Christian, we are not Muslim, we are not Jewish, we are none of this. These are what man has created, these divisions. We are the self, we are the consciousness. So whenever this question arises in one's mind, where am I going? What am I doing? Then we need to look at it and address, this. So the book, Where Are You Going? I think is the simplest, straightforward book that anybody could read and understand.
And do you yourself find that you are constantly going back to Baba's written works and re-reviewing them, whether it's to prepare for a talk or to or just in everyday life?
Definitely. I tell people the mind needs thought. Mind needs food for thought. So to have books that you have liked after reading them, or that have been recommended to you. I also suggest to people to have a notebook in which you write a thought or thoughts or verses or something that you like from a particular book. Because you may not always remember which book, what you read. Some people can, but not everybody can. So at least if you have a notebook and in there you write the reference of where is it that you got this from. And so a combination of both, like you said, in an instant if I need something, and the book can have subdivisions, mind, ego, truth, self, whatever it is. But what I learned over the years is that I read it today, I understand it one way. 2 years, 3 years down the road, as I have traveled life, I read it again, I see it differently. And I have experienced this. I have notes from back in the 80s. And I'm the type who write with pencil because I want to be able to erase it. I don't write with a pen or a highlighter. And so I write with a pencil. So 5-10 years later, when I read it, I said, oh, what is this question? Because now all of a sudden I had the illumination, I had this understanding. So then I had to think to myself, what was my question 10 years ago for this particular statement? Whether there was a poet saying, whether it was a verse from some scripture. And I realized, oh, I understand it today. And whether it is from speaking, whether it's from listening to others, whether it is my own self-illuminations, all of a sudden there is an illumination. So even if you've read the book some years ago, just like people watch movies that they like, because they feel there are details that they have missed the first time. In the same way, I think in these books, for example, I always travel with the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. I always have a copy of it. Because I think when you feel like, what am I going to do now? So instead of just wasting time, you at least have one book with you which you can read. And some illumination definitely happens.
So the next question is a personal question of mine. I was thinking of, when driving down today, that it's now been, well, we met in the mid-90s, so it's been, 25 years that, we've known each other. And I've been a participant. Not just a legal participant, but a devotee as well. And my mind tends to want to distill things into simple aphorisms, sutras, whatever you want to call them. And so I've always kind of come up with this understanding that the simple is do no harm, keep good company, uplift yourself and others. My question is, what have I missed? Or is that basically it?
I think that's excellent, to be kind to everyone and to always have uplifting company in all its various forms. I tell people, my own thoughts, my family, my friends, my colleagues, and because it's not just, external, but it's internal as well. And the ability to uplift oneself and others, I think that's excellent. Because, again, I think that's what our society needs today. Young people, even more so, want somebody to converse, to talk with, and to have a guide. And I think that in the early days, when parents and grandparents and children all lived together, somehow all of this happened. I would also say that one should be responsible. Don't just say, the government will do it for me, my company will do it for me. No, I need to be responsible for myself. I need, when I'm done eating, to wash my dishes or bus my dishes, or basic simple things that we just think, somebody will do it. We need that, I think, in life. And watch the speech. What is it that I'm saying? How is it helping me, helping others? Am I being, again, kind? Am I being loving? And so I think basically what I try to do is look at throughout the day at all of my various interactions with self and with others. And my barometer is that when I go to sleep, I want to feel good. I want to feel happy. I want to feel pleased. I want all the positive things. I want to lay there and look at my day, review my day, and feel, wow, pretty good. And wake up the next morning feeling the same. Because if I'm lying to myself, that something will bother my conscience, and I'll wake up in the morning with like, I know I thought it was okay, but it's really not okay. then to have the courage or the strength to go and correct that so-called situation and say, you know what, I'm sorry, yesterday I was, whatever you want to call yourself, and I think I should have instead, been like this. And so that probably falls under good company. That good company has that effect. It gives us the strength to do that. And I believe also, I tell myself I should have enthusiasm every day. I should wake up with like, yes, it's the same day again, same activity, same movement, same everything, but that, I'm going to go to the office, or I'm going to go to the temple, I'm going to go to whatever it is I'm going to do. And like, yesterday was yesterday, today is today, and, I'm going to go for it. And the Yoga Sutras talk about Ishvara Pranidhana, surrendering to the divine. Just throughout the day, just, salute the divine, or just offer gratitude. It's a beautiful, sunny, clear day. A little bit chilly, some wind is going, but yet it's a beautiful day. And so to feel that gratefulness for life. And I think, again, when we talk about all of the various things we've talked about, possibly we forget this at times. Just to feel I'm alive, I am breathing, I'm able, to do all that which I need to do. I tell people sometimes, I used to complain to God about having no shoes till I saw a man with no legs. So the Sufis say this, So feel that gratitude for what you have in life. And I think it's wonderful what you said. Each one of us, from all of the teachings, which is, I think, what the notebook to me is about, is to find these, small, pithy sayings, aphorisms, sutras, and post them around the house. So whenever you go to the fridge, when you go to your closet, when you go to the bathroom, when you're just walking around the house, and that's what pictures and all of this does. But, if words is the way, or if you're an artist, you can create a calligraphy or a painting, and you look and you go, oh, and in that moment, it's wonderful. So I tell people, when you asked earlier about books, keep a book by you. If you want to change it every month, do so. But sometimes when you feel frustrated or upset or angry, just randomly open the book, and the page you open to will be the answer to the question or the situation. And it'll be, we may not understand it in the moment because we are blinded by, doubt and confusion and anger. But if you just take a moment, hold that page, and just relax and read, you'll be like, wow. It was said, it is being said, and it will be said, because that is the truth.
Beautiful. I don't think I can come up with a Gurudev, thank you.
Thank you
for this opportunity, and again for all the years that you've been a friend. We love you very much, and look forward to many, many more years with you.
Gurunath Maharaj ki jai.
We love you very much, and look forward to many, many
So this concludes our Sunday morning satsang, and thank you all for joining us, both here in person and those of you joining us via the live stream. So, as I mentioned earlier, so all of those interviews with Gurudev are up on YouTube, so you can go and view them at any time. They are there for your enjoyment and for your learning. And also, a wonderful announcement that I have this morning is that with regards to our greenhouse fundraiser, out only twice to our global mailing. Everyone should know that together, as a global satsang, we raised $25,000. So thank you all for your contributions. And especially one particular donor in Pennsylvania who was more than generous. And we are very, very grateful for your donations, and we look forward to meeting you in person. We can't wait to have you here at the ashram so that you can see all that exists for you and for your sadhana. My next announcement is with regards to next weekend. We are bringing back our in-person workshops. So this is a wonderful opportunity to come back to the ashram from 10 a.m. to 12:30 noon. And our workshops once a month will be given by Nicheshwari and by Dana, so we'll alternate. And it'll conclude with a vegetarian lunch, so everybody's invited for that. So our first one in relaunching it is on June 26th, and it's going to be a Dharana's workshop by Nicheshwari, and the topic is Remembrance is Key. So again, remembrance is key. So everyone's invited to sign up for that. You can register for that in the office, and you can also register for that online if you wish. Following our Dharana's workshop, then that puts us to the first week of July. And what does that mean? We have our July 4th Independence Day picnic, so our second one for the summer, and open to everyone. So anybody wishing to bring a dish, you can contact Jackie Wilkinson at her email address so that we'll begin to start coordinating all of the items for our outdoor picnic. And July is always a wonderful month, and especially when it has Guru Purnima in it. So Guru Purnima is July 23rd, is the full moon. That's a Friday. So the intensive for everyone will be in person here on July 23rd, and then it'll be available to everyone virtually, and those who are doing it virtually on the Sunday evening. You'll get the links, which is the 25th, and then for viewing on the 26th, correct? And again, on that Guru Purnima weekend, not only will we have the intensive, but we'll also have a music concert on that Saturday night, July 24th. So everyone's invited to be here at the ashram. And for those of you who are looking for overnight accommodation, you're welcome to book in with the office. And last but not least, everyone's invited to share in the abundance of the garden. So after lunch prasad, we'll be putting several heads of lettuce out here on the table. So one per household. Everyone on your way home, be sure to gather your head and take it home and enjoy it leaf by leaf, with as prasad from the ashram's garden. So with that, everyone's invited to come up for darshan, followed by lunch prasad. So, and for our travelers who are headed back to Florida, we wish you a safe trip, and we look forward to your return. And I don't think we have any of our friends from Mexico going anywhere soon, so we'll leave that one for another week or two. Sadhguru Nath Maharaj Ki Jai.